You now have years of your life, but the door to them is locked inside you. Your first laugh, your first fear, your first hug, they all really happened. But your mind won't give you the key to unlock them. Imagine a whole photo album, but with no titles or order. That's pretty much what happened to your early childhood. You watch a video of yourself as a baby, and it feels like you're watching someone else. Everyone around you remembers those moments, except you. Your mother remembers your cries, your father remembers your first steps, and you are nothing. Not because you were stupid, and not because the memories simply vanished. The truth is stranger. Your mind was recording in a way you don't understand now. When you were a baby, life wasn't a clear story. It was sounds, smells, familiar faces, and warm touches. It didn't say, I'm in a room, this is my father, this is my first day. You lived in the moment, and then it faded away before it could become a story. Memory needs something very important to organize what happened. Like a drawer full of papers with no files or names. The paper is there, but you don't know where you put it. And that's what makes your childhood seem like a torn page. But the painful question is, why do others remember your childhood better than you do? Because they had language, time, and an understanding of what was happening. As for you, you felt before you knew how to explain. You cried not because you said, I'm sad, but because your body screamed before the words. And memory
Milestone
without
missed.
words is like
First
a video
steps.
without sound.
Parents' view.
You see something, but you don't know its story. That's why you often don't remember the first time you walked. But your body learned to walk and never forgot the way. Here's the paradox: you don't remember, but you changed. You didn't remember your first fall, but you learned to be careful. You didn't remember your first hug, but you learned what it meant to be safe. You didn't remember your first fear, but it probably remained as a vague feeling. It's as if childhood was written on your skin, not in a diary. Your mind at that time was like a city under construction. The streets are unfinished, and the signs haven't been put up yet. So the experiences reach inside, but they have no way back. The problem isn't in the memory itself, it's in accessing it. Imagine you've stored a photo on a very old phone. The photo is there, but the new phone doesn't open it easily. This is similar to what happens between a child's brain and an adult's brain. The old version recorded the world differently. Then you grew up and the way you read changed. That's why sometimes you smell an old scent and feel something for no reason. It's not a complete memory, but an emotional shadow that passed through you. The smell of milk, the sound of a door, a blanket, an old song. Every little thing left a trace, but the trace isn't always a clear image. Sometimes it's a feeling: comfort, anxiety, attraction, or repulsion. And this is where the real story of an infant's memory begins. The brain isn't born empty-handed, but it is born busy with survival. It has to learn to breathe, to nurse, to sleep, faces, and voices. It doesn't have time to create an organized memory album. He's like a rescuer, not a diary writer. What matters most to him is who feeds me, who protects me, where is my safety. So he remembers in a different way, through sensation and habit. He knows his mother's voice, but he doesn't say, I remember the day I heard it. He knows her scent, but he doesn't create a vivid image of it. He knows a hug, but not as a date on a calendar. He knows it as a safety that resides within the body. So your early childhood hasn't completely disappeared. It just doesn't come to you in the form of a film. But the next part is what no one knows. You don't forget simply because your brain was young. You also forget because you didn't have a clear version of yourself. Today you say, I was there. But as an infant, that feeling wasn't fully formed yet. You didn't know that you had a story that began and continued. You lived like a drop in a river, not like a traveler observing it. And powerful memories need someone to say, this happened to me. Without that thread, moments scatter like broken beads. Here, language acts as the glue for memory. When you learned words, you began to attach meanings to events. The word house, mother, fear, game, pain, joy. Suddenly, the world had names. And what has no name is easier to carry in memory. Before language, experiences were like smoke in a room. After language, they became like pictures hanging on the wall. That's why our memories often begin a few years after we start speaking. Not because what came before was meaningless, but because it lacked clear labels. Then something else happens inside the brain, a harsh new arrangement. Weak connections are removed, and important pathways become stronger. It's as if your mind is cleaning out a room full of old toys. It keeps what helps you now and hides what you don't use. This isn't betrayal, it's the way we grow. So where did your memories as a baby go? Some faded away, some transformed into habits and feelings. And some perhaps remained but without a clear path to them. Like an old house you know exists but whose street you've forgotten. That's why you can't relive the day you were born just by trying. There's no simple password that unlocks everything. But you can understand the impact those years had on you. The way you calmed down your attachments, your fears, the comfort you found in certain sounds. All of them might bear the marks of a time you don't remember. You don't just carry childhood images. You also carry the way they taught you to feel. And that's deeper than simply remembering a scene. The solution isn't to be sad because you don't remember. It's to understand that your memory began before words. It began with a touch, a scent, a voice, a familiar face. It began every time your crying subsided. And every time your body learned that the world was a little safer. So when you look at a picture of yourself as a baby, don't say, "This is strange." Say, "This is me before I had words. Me before I wrote my own story." And perhaps that's why early childhood seems so distant, because it's not in your head like a story. It's inside you like a soft, ancient trace. You don't remember being a baby, but being a baby made a part of you. Next time, look at your earliest childhood photo. Don't just search for a lost memory. Look for a tiny human being learning to survive. Building their language, their body, their confidence, and their first fear. Ask those around you about a story you don't remember. Perhaps they'll tell you about a laugh, a game, or a moment of tears. You'll discover that your life began before your first clear memory, and that you are bigger than the photos you can recall. If you enjoy this kind of simple science story, stay tuned. There are many things inside your body whose stories you don't yet know. Write what is your oldest memory. Perhaps your real story begins there.